So there's not really anywhere else I can think of to put it today. I probably could have put it in front of the fantasy shelf over here, the Jennifer L. Almond Trout shelf, but I think we'll just put it here today. So if you're new here or haven't seen one of these videos before, this is my TBR game. I do it every month bar June and December most likely. This is my first year doing it. I've had the last month off, but in May I did not complete my challenges. I'll get into that in a minute, but the rules are pretty simple. I normally draw 6 prompts out each month, and if I can't complete all 6 prompts, then I have to pick up an extra one as punishment for the following month. So that's what I have to do this month for July. I didn't finish in May, so I need to pick out 7 today. If I pick out any that are the same, I can obviously skip. There's a couple in here that are for my best friend because we share the jar, so things like horror I will not do. And apart from that, let's just get straight into the game. Prompt number 1, let's see what it is. Steal a book. So the first book I'll be reading in July is Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert. This is the second book in the Brown Sisters series, and I have read book 1, which is Get a Life, Chloe Brown, and I really did enjoy that. It's a great book, and so I'm really looking forward to continuing this series. It's been a while. I read the first book I think September last year, so definitely been a few months since I've been in this world, and I'm kind of looking forward to coming back to it because of Talia's writing style. But this one has one of my favourite tropes in it. It is the fake dating trope. I believe that a video went viral of the male main character rescuing Danny. I think his name is Zeph, and from there on they have like a huge whirlwind sort of situation that the internet has taken advantage of, and they have to fake date. I believe that is the synopsis for this book. To steal a book, I have to take a book from my best friend's bookshelf. She brought this while she was in Australia. She brought the rest of the series, and I decided that I would take this one to complete this prompt. Good shake. Prompt number 2. Oh goodness, a retelling. So the next prompt is a retelling, and I have decided to continue on with the second book by Chloe Gong, and it is Our Violet Ends, for the Romeo and Juliet retelling. I really enjoyed these Violent Delights. It's a great book and really sets up this world a great deal actually. But the main reason I'm picking this up over July is because not only did I want to have read it by now, but I actually have been given the arc of Foul Lady Fortune, and most of the characters that are in this book as side characters are continuing on into that world, so I definitely want to know what happens to them before I continue on with my arc reading. Our Violent Ends, I believe, covers the continuation of the monster that we saw in the first book. The what was it? It was like a virusy thing that was taking over. I'm not going to give away too much because I don't know if everyone's read these Violent Delights. I do recommend it, but it's just continuing on from where things left off in the first book. The stakes are now higher, and the animosity that had been resolved is back, so it'll be interesting to see how Roma and Juliet navigate their way through that, and I'm really excited for this one. Like I said, I should have been to it by now. It's been on my TBR for a few months now, but I just haven't gotten to it. But hopefully this month I can definitely knock it out of the park and enjoy it as much as I loved the first book. Number 3. Fantasy. The next prompt is fantasy, and for that I have gone with Throne of Glass by Sarah J Maas. Now, I will preface this by saying I actually don't know much about this series or this book. I just know that one of my closest Bookstagram friends is very much so adamant that I have to read this series, and so I have decided that I will give it a go over July. She's going to reread it with me, so hopefully it'll go well. All I know is that, is it 𝓤𝓚? She's an assassin and she has been summoned, and that is pretty much all I know about this book. To be honest, Sarah J Maas is one of those authors that I have a love-hate relationship with, so I'm not too sure what to expect going into this. I just know that I need to read it, and if I don't do this book for this prompt, I do have a second book by the same author on this TBR list, and it is A Corpse Full of Flames. I've been holding out until this orange cover came out. I've read all the rest of the series, and I've really much so wanted to get to this one because I love 𝓤𝓚. She's my favourite character in the 𝓤𝓚 series. Again, I can't remember the synopsis off the top of my head about this, but I do know that we're following along with 𝓤𝓚's own story. We get to see the insights of why she's the way she is, how she reacts to Cassian, and how she becomes really good friends with two female characters that have also been through quite a lot. That's pretty much all I know. I also know I need to read this book before I get on to Crescent Cities 2, House of Sky and Breath, so trying to knock these ones off the list has been a little bit challenging. I wanted to get this one done in June, but I ran out of time, so I have it on my TBR for July, and like I said, it could be either of those books to fulfill the prompt. Let's go. Really. Prompt number 4 is historical romance. Okay, so the next prompt is historical romance, and I'm so excited for this book. I have been reading this series over June. I read both, what's the first one called? Bringing Down the Duke and A Rogue of One's Own back to back. I stayed up all night long reading the first book. This series is so good. I don't read historical romances enough because I can't seem to find ones that I enjoy, but this series is so good. So this one is following Hattie, and she is the daughter of a banking lord. I guess he's the guy that's in charge of the banking of Britain, and she's an artist, and she just wants to fulfill a few things in life, like wearing pretty dresses and making sure that she is a part of a noble cause, and she wanted to marry a young lord. And I believe this one follows Blackstone, who was introduced in the last book, and he is a self-made man, so he's definitely not of a gentleman's background, and I'm not too sure. I think it might have a marriage involved in it very quickly into this. I'm looking at the synopsis now, and it does say that she finds herself at the altar, so I'm guessing for some reason she's married off to Lucian, which is Blackstone, and I'm very excited to see this one. I like Hattie, she's really fun, and the other two girls or ladies that I have read in this series were much more independent and had a fight within them. And I would say that Hattie definitely still does too, but her sort of way in life is a bit more pleasing to the way society is at that point. So I'm very excited to see how she will be portrayed in this novel. And I went all over town looking for this. I've been reading them from the library, and I went on a scenic drive just to pick this book up for this prompt and because I needed to read it. So I'm very excited that I pulled this prompt because I really was going to finish this series off this month anyway. And then I have to wait for book 4, which maybe I should have paced it out a bit more, but I just can't wait. I really need to read it. Okay, give it a good shake up. Let's see what else can we get.
Ooh, last letter, first letter.
So the next book is Last Letter, First Letter, and how that works is the last book I read has to be the first letter of the next book. I have another book on the TBR list that I plan to read before this one to make it work, and T is the last letter of that book, so the starts with T, and that's why I have chosen The Court of Mortals by A.J. Lancaster. It is the third book in the 𝓬𝓷 series, and oh my word, I love this series. She is a New Zealand author as well, which is very exciting, and I was very happy to see this book in the library and picked it up because I've been reading it on my Kindle. I am definitely going to get my own copies of this series, but for now I shall read it from a library borrow. And I'm super excited to continue on with this world. It is a gaslamp fantasy / fantasy of manners. It's just so wonderfully witty and whimsical and everything that I need to read. I just have such a love for this world, and the same friend that convinced me that I have to read Throne of Glass is the reason I picked up this series, so I definitely trust in her opinion on books because so far I have loved every moment of this wonderful world. It is around Hetty and Wyn being a winged fae and Hetty being the Lord of 𝓬𝓷, and it's just really sweet. I believe we'll be now looking at how their courtship will be portrayed by both humans and the fae. I really don't want to give too much more away because this book series is just so good, and the synopsis I'm assuming for this would really give away what's happened in book 1 and 2, but I just highly recommend this series and I cannot wait to read it over July.
Oh, pick it up. So we've got 5, let's get 2 more. Prompt number 6 is cute cover.
So for cute cover, I'm going with Set on You by Amy Lee. This is also a buddy read that I'm going to be participating in over July, and I'm super excited for this book. As soon as I read the synopsis a few months back, I knew that I was going to read this because I love plus size representation in books, and this one is about Crystal. She is a fitness influencer, but she's also on the curvier side, and she is out there trying to break stereotypes around body image and everything like that. She meets a firefighter and they start to have a battle for the gym, so domination in the gym, it says on the synopsis, and sparks fly. But I believe the imagery of the two of them together sends the internet trolls into a viral sort of savagery situation, and that's going to affect how perhaps they see each other or how they approach their relationship. I'm really looking forward to this. Like I said, really interested in books that have plus size main characters and them navigating the world in which a lot of other characters may not have to face that sort of scrutiny. So I'm looking forward to seeing how Amy Lee brings us together in her book. I've never read one of her stories before, but I'm very much so interested in reading this one.
I feel like I've done that a lot this year. Last one. Let's see, what is it? The of an and. That's pretty good.
Okay, and the last book on the list of prompts for July is The of an and. Has to have that in the title, and I have chosen The Honey Don't List by Christina Lauren. This is the book that I mentioned ends with T, so I can use it for another prompt. And I don't really know much about this book. All I know is that my best friend and I picked up every Christina Lauren book we found at the library when we last went, and this is one of them. I believe the main characters have to keep a couple together on a book tour, and it's really difficult work, especially when I don't think either of them are like PR people. I think he's an engineer and she has just worked for this specific couple for many years. That's all I know. I don't really know any more than that, but I'm looking forward to reading it. I do enjoy a Christina Lauren novel, and I've read quite a lot of them. I have recently put a page in my bullet journal, my reading journal, of all their books, and I want to read all of them. So this will tick off one of those over July, and like I said, I'm really excited to give this a go without knowing too much going into it. And outside of my TBR prompts, I have These Hollow Vows by Lexi Ryan and another book, which I will show you very quickly. This one I'm doing a buddy read with. The next book is coming out, and I have mentioned before that I've already read These Twisted Bonds. I was given an ARC copy of it earlier this year, and it is one of my favourite books this year so far. And I'm doing the reread because over July that book comes out. So I wanted to host a reread of it, or for people who haven't read it yet to join in before the sequel is launched. And I'm really excited to visit this world again. I absolutely love Bree as a main character. She is just so fierce and independent, and all her naiveties and mistakes along the way really do have consequences that add up, and she has to learn a lot while she is in fairy. So this is a fae fantasy, and there is a love triangle, and if you know, I don't like them, but this is probably one of my favourite love triangles to date. It's really infuriating, but at the same time so well done that I can't hate on it too much. This book is just everything that I needed. It was my very first fae fantasy that I ever read, and I just will cherish it forever. So definitely excited to return to this world and also host another buddy read soon with the sequel, because like I said, I've read it. I want to share the love that I have for this series so much, and that is what I'll be doing over July. I'll be reading 2 buddy reads at the same time, so hopefully I will be able to stay on track and participate well in both of them. It's not the first time, and it won't be the last, I'm sure, but I'm very happy that this will be entering my July TBR. And the other book is a library read. It is oh, that's glary. Let's see, does that work? It is 99% Mine by Sally Thorne. Again, this, like I said, is a library book, and I have a few library books that I need to get through before I have to return them. I really want to read this one. I have renewed it, so it's definitely one that I have to get through. And it follows, I think, Tom and Darcy, and it's about remodeling a house. I keep mixing up the Honey Don't List and this book. Let me check really quick. He is her brother's best friend, and Tom is definitely off limits, and yes, they are remodeling a house. So this is the one that I was thinking the Honey Don't List was about. They have to work together to remodel a house, and I'm assuming that the feelings that they have for each other will be coming up, and it will be a friends to lovers, and I just feel like that will be a good read this month. So this is my TBR list for the month of July. I am hopeful that I will get through most of them. I know there are some that I definitely want to try and read first before others, but otherwise I'm just looking forward to having a really productive reading month. I've got a lot of books to get through that are not shown in this video. I've got a few arcs that are due, so definitely going to spend a lot more of July reading than I have June. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching me ramble about books another time. I hope that you're all well and that you'll enjoy your month of reading ahead. Bye everyone.